At the far edge of the red dust frontier, where the land stretched wide and merciless and the wind carried old stories in its breath, there stood a lonely pine log cabin owned by a cowboy named Eli Mercer, a man shaped by loss, silence, and the hard honesty of survival. The kind of man who believed trouble should be avoided, not invited, yet fate had a way of riding faster than caution. The day before dawn changed everything. Eli had been riding back from the dry creek with his mule when he saw her. An Apache woman kneeling beside a broken wagon wheel, the sun hanging low and gold behind her, dust clinging to her dress and skin, her hands raw and determined as she fought wood and iron alone. She did not cry out or beg when she noticed him. She simply met his eyes with a calm that unsettled him more than fear ever could. The frontier had taught Eli one rule above all others: don't get involved, especially not with Apaches. But something in her stillness, in the quiet dignity with which she worked a problem that would have defeated many men, pulled him from his saddle. He dismounted slowly, hands visible, voice low, and asked if she needed help. For a long moment she said nothing, then nodded once. Her name, she told him, was Naya. The wheel's iron band had slipped, the wood warped from heat and strain. Eli fetched tools from his saddle, braced the axle, reset the rim with careful strength, his hands moving by memory while the desert watched. They spoke little, yet in that silence something fragile formed, an understanding beyond language. When the wheel finally turned true, Naya looked at him not with gratitude alone, but with warning. She told him she was far from her people, sent to trade medicine roots with settlers who never came, and that others might not see his kindness the way she did. Eli shrugged it off, offered water, pointed her toward the safer trail, and watched as she rode away into the deepening dusk, her figure swallowed by dust and fading light. He told himself it was nothing, just a man helping another human being. That night, the wind howled louder than usual, and Eli dreamed of horses pounding the earth like thunder. At first light, the pounding was real. He woke to the unmistakable sound of hooves circling his cabin, slow and deliberate. When he peered through the shutter, his blood ran cold. Apache warriors, dozens of them, sat mounted around his home, their faces streaked with war paint, feathers and bone gleaming, rifles and spears held ready, eyes fixed on the cabin like wolves at a trap. Smoke from their breath mixed with the morning mist. Eli's hand drifted toward his rifle, then stopped. He knew better. One wrong move would turn his cabin into a grave. The door creaked open before he could stop it, and Naya stepped forward from the ring of riders, now transformed. Her calm replaced by command, her posture that of someone who belonged among warriors. She spoke sharply in her language, and the riders remained still. Turning to Eli, she told him the truth. Her people had followed her trail, believing she had been captured or harmed by a settler, and they had come ready for blood. Eli swallowed hard, every past warning screaming in his ears. He asked why she had returned at all. Naya looked at him with eyes that carried the weight of generations and said, "Because you chose mercy when you didn't have to." She told the warriors how he had helped her without threat or demand, how he had given water, how he had turned away when he could have taken advantage. Murmurs rippled through the riders. Some stared at Eli with open suspicion, others with curiosity. The oldest warrior rode forward, his face a map of scars and wisdom, and demanded to know why a white man would risk himself for an Apache woman. Eli answered simply, his voice steady despite the fear tightening his chest. Because she was stranded, and because it was right. Silence fell heavier than gunfire. The elder studied him for a long, unforgiving moment, then turned to Naya. She nodded once. Slowly, the elder raised his hand, and one by one the riders lowered their weapons. The ring did not break, but the tension eased, like a bow unstrung. The elder spoke then, saying that the land remembered actions, not words, and that Eli's kindness had crossed a line older than war. The riders remained until the sun rose high. Then, without ceremony, they turned their horses and rode away, dust swallowing them just as it had swallowed Naya the evening before. Before leaving, she stepped close to Eli and placed a small carved token in his hand, a symbol of safe passage. "Not all will honor it," she said, "but some will, and that may be enough. Then she was gone. Eli stood alone again, cabin quiet, heart pounding with the realization that one small act had nearly ended his life, or saved it. From that day on, word spread quietly along the frontier of a cowboy whose cabin Apache riders did not touch, of a man who learned that courage wasn't always found behind a gun barrel, but sometimes in a simple choice made at sunset beside a broken wheel. And if this story of mercy, danger, and unexpected honor moved you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because the frontier is full of stories like this, and the next one might just change the way you see courage forever.